Anna Friel has played a beautiful corpse in the TV show Pushing Daisies, and currently she's playing a struggling London detective in Marcella on Netflix. Anna is in the star-studded romantic drama film Charming the Hearts of Men, where she plays a sophisticated woman returning to her southern hometown where she makes history in the civil and women's rights movement. And joining me now is Anna. Anna, good morning. How are you?
Good evening from England.
Yeah, I forgot that.
I'm very well. How are you?
I've been a big fan of yours with Pushing Daisies, which has been one of my favorite shows. It's actually a reboot now. Well, not reboot, but playing on HBO Max now. So I've been watching it over and over, which is great. And then, of course,
it was so ahead of its time, wasn't it?
Oh, it was great. And actually, I know Shy McBride.
Do you? I love Shy.
Yeah. So.
There was one of the loveliest casts.
It is, and now you're playing Marcella on Netflix, which is a great show too. That's just amazing.
Grace Gordon, she was a lovely character to play. I was just finishing season 3 of Marcella. I was in cold, grey, wet, rainy Ireland, and I finished that within 2 weeks, and then went to a completely different environment. We shot in Madison, Georgia. So it was my first time in the South. I'd never been before. I've lived in Los Angeles and New York, but it was my first visit to the South, and I couldn't believe how hot it is there. It was like 98 degrees, I think, and the heat's so still, and I started to understand much more of the accents and the reason people would move more slowly, because you have to very much be dictated to by environment rather than you dictating to the environment.
Yeah. Well, this is a romantic drama that has a very big message for people out there, especially in the women's movement and the civil rights movement. And your character, I'll tell you, I mean, was just amazing to watch and see develop over the course of the movie into this stronger woman at the end.
Yeah, she's very soft-spoken, and I think has had a very privileged and somewhat spoiled life. And receiving news of her father's death makes her kind of sit up and realize that she's going to, for the very first time, fend for herself, and then discovers that it's actually very difficult to fend for yourself. You're completely reliant on your man, and she has to get a job, and she wants to get a job and wants to work, and finds out that there are no jobs available, and then goes on a journey and a plight to fight for women's equality, so that they can have a job and they don't have to be completely reliant on a man.
Yeah. A star-studded cast, Kelsey Grammer. I mean, come on, working with him, how was that?
He was like him and Sean Austin. They're two of my favorites. I think my very first crush was on Mikey from The Goonies, and The Goonies is one of my favorite films. And so I was very excited to meet both of them. Kelsey was such a gentleman. I gave him total permission to correct me on any accent flaws, because his was so perfect, but kind and generous, and would run lines off set as much as I wanted to. Yeah, he was a real delight.
Well, I'll tell you, this movie is just such a important time right now to see, but also a time to pretty much watch romance bloom in the South, which was incredible.
Call me if you need me.
Those sets were so beautiful, and the scenery so picturesque. I absolutely adored all of the sets and the costumes, and there's a real wonderful romance between me and Kelsey. He wasn't difficult to fall in love with.
I'll tell you, Anna, just watching you go from character to character in your career is just incredible. And this one here is definitely one for everyone to go and watch and see. And then, of course, Marcella, which, again, is just really pushing limits on things, just like you do with this character.
Well, I think as a character actress, that's what you try to push yourself and try as many different characters as possible, so you never get pigeonholed. I adore learning accents. It's one of my favorite parts of the jobs. And yeah, I think you couldn't get more different than Marcella and Grace Gordon. And the next character I'm about to play is also completely and utterly different, goes up in another direction. But that's the joy.
So Well, Anna, I appreciate you taking the time, especially with the time zone there and then all the delays that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so very much for having me.
So, all right, take care. Hey, to find out more about Charming the Hearts of Men in theaters, go to charmingtheheartsofmen.com.